Susul.
Welcome to Under the Plumb Bob, the podcast about all things related to the EA Maxis series of games called The Sims. We avoid the real world by talking about our made-up ones. My name is Melissa, and I'm here with co-hosts Roxy and Jane. And we'll be talking about Sims 3 and 4 in this episode. In each episode coming up, we're going to have more of a focus on one topic in particular, and those will have to do with all aspects of the game. Building, gameplay, lore. We'll touch on mods and custom content, and we might even try some challenges, which will either prove to be successful or very unsuccessful. It's a 50-50 shot. So, like I said, in this episode, we're going to talk about Sims 3 and 4. Check out our first episode called Simulation Nation for a beautiful trip down nostalgia lane, where our team Cowplant discusses Sims 1 and 2.
Great. Thanks, Melissa. I guess I'll start us off with some of the boring details about The Sims 4 and 3 when they were released and how well they sold. So The Sims 3 was released on June 2nd, 2009 for Windows and Mac. And then The Sims 4 was released on September 2nd, 2014 for Windows only. And the Mac version didn't come out until February of the next year. So I think that's pretty interesting and probably made some Mac users not so happy.
When did you guys get the games? Were you like right when it comes out, or did you kind of hear about it after a while?
Yeah, that's a good question. I got The Sims 3 for my daughter because she's a gamer. And I thought, well, she'd like The Sims. So she was probably 8 when we got that. It must not have been out that long, but Supernatural was already out.
Oh, Supernatural. What about you, Jane?
So, I didn't get Sims 2 right away. I think I got Sims 2 because I heard about it through, I guess, someone I went to school with. I was pretty young when it came out. I think I was like 8 or 9. But then by the time Sims 3 came out, I was, 14, I think I was, 15 maybe. And I was like, I want this game right now. And I remember grabbing it the day it released. And I was like, oh my God, I have to play this. And I just like binge played it all day and it was great. So, yeah.
Continued the trend with the newer games?
Yeah, and then when Sims 4 came out, I don't remember, did Sims 4 come to Mac right away?
No, it was like a few months later.
Yeah, because at that time I had a Mac laptop, so I just remember sitting there and waiting and thinking, okay, when is this going to be out for Mac? Do I need to get a Windows computer? Like, what's going on? Of course, I eventually did end up investing in a gaming PC anyway, but at the time I had a laptop, just a MacBook, and I was like, I'm never going to get to play this. And then it finally came out, and I was like, yay! So I was a few months late to that party, but it's been fun ever since.
Yeah, I think I was too. I think I had to wait because I had a MacBook at the time, and now with my fancy schmancy gaming PC, I just run The Sims 4 and try to keep myself from adding more and more custom content to bog down the game.
Exactly. Yep. I'm in the same boat because it's like once you start adding CC, you can't stop.
This is true.
That's why I haven't started.
Which is wise. And we are going to have...
So my daughter is, an 11-year-old, so you get kind of two perspectives. She has gotten into CC. She's made a little bit, but hasn't been approved yet.
Wow.
I guess she got rejected because her icon, like the little icon picture that she posted with it was, quote, too colorful. I don't know what that means. So we're still working on getting that live so we can share it. But like, she did it all herself. I didn't have any custom content.
That is so cool.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just thought of something. One place you can upload it without having to have approval is you can get a Sim file share account and upload it there. I think Sims Resource, as far as I know, is the only place that requires approval before you can actually post something.
Yeah, I don't know what Sim file share is.
I can show you later. Also, Mediafire would be a good option as well if you want to use that. But there's a lot of options that don't require approval.
Yeah,
just
I mentioned that.
Upload it
I'll mention it to her. She's pretty stubborn.
Well, that's a good trait to have.
Yeah, she got me into The Sims 4, or like I got her The Sims 3. We played it a little bit, but not to the level like when I first got Sims. It was Sims 2, right around the time I got pregnant with her, and played it obsessively, and then I had no time to play after she was born.
Right.
And then I got her Sims 3 and played it a little bit, and then Sims 4 came along, and she was like, "Mom, can we get this?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And we set it up on 2 different computers. So she was able to do her thing, and I was able to do my thing, and I got into the habit of playing The Sims like every day.
Oh,
Roxy,
wow.
I think we're going to need to have an entire episode on raising your daughter while playing The Sims. I'm serious. That really interests me.
Yeah.
She sounds already like a cool kid who knows coding and how to make custom content. So if she can be a guest on a future episode, I would be thrilled. And for our listeners, we are going to have an upcoming episode that is all mods all the time. I'm going to learn some stuff. Some of our other co-hosts are not well-versed in mods either. So we're going to learn together.
Cool. I'll have to write some stuff down about mods and things, because I forget, I've been using them for so long, I forget not everybody does. And then I meet someone who plays vanilla games, and I'm like, oh my God.
Shame. Shame.
I want to explore everything that's already there before I mod my game.
That makes sense too. I just got bored. I was like, I know I can do more, because I saw all these cool mods, and I was like, I want to have, my sim be a professional singer or whatever. So
yeah,
that's a mod,
I know for sure my daughter's done the mermaid mod.
Ooh, aww. There's a mermaid mod? Even I didn't know that. See? You learn something new every day.
I learned so much from her. She's crazy smart.
Makes me miss Island Paradise in Sims 3. Man.
Oh my God. One of many.
I could run it, That's a whole other thing. That's an episode in and of itself, is why can't anybody run Sims 3?
It's just heavy on the system, is from what I understand. Although it's interesting because people seem to like The Sims 3 more than The Sims 4 in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I think in terms of the depth of the gameplay, it's, I guess, better. But that's only because, I feel it's only because all of the packs have been released for Sims 3, so it's a more complete game. Whereas with Sims 4, we're still waiting to see every pack.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Anyway. Doesn't it have to do, though, with the fact that Sims 3 was open world, and that was,
absolutely,
pretty much very harder on your machine, which I don't know a ton of background on, but I can assume it's, a lot more. There was all that loading time and to just open the initial neighborhood, and now you've got 4 where you have loading screens in between going to each location, which is a lot like Sims 2. And I know that disappointed a lot of people. I was shocked that they had returned to that, but looking back, it definitely makes sense as far as, consumer wants and needs versus computers blowing up, which, Sims has caused my computer to crash, burn, lose save files. We'll have a whole episode on just devastating lost save files.
Yep. That was a thing. I kept getting, I think it was in Sims 3, error code 12 would always prevent me from saving. I don't know if that happened to anyone else, but that was definitely a thing for me. And that
sounds really familiar.
Really discouraging after a while. But I think from a technical standpoint, not having open worlds anymore makes sense. But then from a gameplay standpoint, it's also kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you want it, some part of me wants it back, but I'm also very happy with The Sims 4 as it is. So
I think the graphics quality is so beautiful in The Sims 4.
It really is. Especially if you use mods. Like if you use alpha hair, some people are going to know what I'm talking about and some people aren't. But alpha hair is like the really pretty, realistic looking custom hair and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. The other type of custom content is Maxis Match, which looks more like that cartoony, look that they have.
It looks more like what's already in the game.
Yeah, I personally like that, but that's fine. I'm glad there's options for people who like a more realistic look.
I also like Max's stuff just because it puts less of a strain on my system, but at the same time, sometimes I want those realistic graphics, so I have a mix of both, but everyone's different in terms of what they want in their game. I know some people who only play with Alpha CC, and I can only imagine, what their computers are like. They're probably just have mercy.
That's so funny. Another thing a lot of people miss from The Sims 3 is the create a style feature.
Yep.
Oh my God.
100%. Oh, yeah.
Do you want to get me started? Because if you get me started, I'm going to get riled up about this.
By all means.
That's what we're here for.
You could change everything. I know a lot of people did like berry challenges. That was sort of you know, focused on one color or one hue and made the whole outfit that. You could change the hair color. And now we are in a time in the real world where crazy color hair is so popular right now. And I just want pink hair that is a very specific pink. I'm getting riled. I said I would get riled. But I really missed that. That was a lot of customization. And I will say that 4 does a decent job with their color swatches. I think they change it up enough. But the one thing I have been sort of starting to experiment with mods is those sort of like recolors. So they take the existing hairstyles or outfits and they just give you more color options, which was great because I had to make my sim self recently for a little feature we're going to do on our podcast website. And my hair is a very, it's a dye job that's faded considerably. And I wanted to accurately represent that because I'm not a redhead and I'm not a blonde. So somewhere kind of in between there that looks not quite mousy brown. It's a whole thing. How do you guys feel about Create a Style?
There's that one hair. I don't know how long your hair is, but there's one of the hairs that's like long and it's like layered and it's kind of wavy and has bangs. And they have some amazing colors on that hair. Like you get colors that you don't expect to get from the palettes that are there. And every time I see it on my daughter's game, I'm like, that hair is so cool. And she'd be like, it's in the game. I don't know.
I feel like I know which one you're talking about, but I could be very wrong. Anyway, but I do miss Create a Style for one thing. In particular, was I used to all the time whenever my Sims would have dyed hair, I would do like they would have a natural color, right? And then the tips of their hair would be dyed.
Yes,
that's my
I used
hair
to do that
now.
all the time,
Yeah.
and now I can't. Now I can't do that anymore unless I take the time to go into Photoshop and do a custom recolor, which I can do, but it's a heck of a lot more time consuming than just using Create a Style. So
yeah,
true.
I do miss that.
I do like the way the neighborhoods work in The Sims 4, though, because in The Sims 3, if you wanted to move to a different neighborhood, you pretty much it was like moving across the country and forgetting everyone you used to know. Like they can't visit each other.
Exactly. I do like that, in Sims 4, it's all connected. Whereas, like, if, like you said, you'd forget everybody if you moved to a new neighborhood. Like, I once had, 3 generations of people. I think it was in Island Paradise. And I didn't quite realize that when you moved, you really did forget everyone.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a wake-up call for me. I was like, oh, I guess I can't do that again. But
yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah, Sims 4 is definitely better in that respect, I think.
I agree. Do you want to talk about some of the families that, kind of live in The Sims 3 and 4?
Yeah.
I have a couple favorites. I'm one of those people who goes in and, makes your initial family, but I like playing the pre-mades just because I kind of like seeing where the developers, what they intended with the story and seeing if I can kind of either go along with that intent or to completely screw it up.
Yeah, I just realized they start with a bunch of skills and like career levels. I'm like, oh,
right.
Maybe that's why people play them.
Yeah, no, I agree completely because, I used to never play with townies. I used to just make my own families. But lately, I turned aging off in my current save file. Like, it's completely off unless I'm playing that household. So now I'm just going between families that I've made and townies and just everybody. And I'm just trying to kind of give everybody these happy little lives, except for a select few people that I've decided get tragic stories instead,
I'm sure they deserved it.
Right.
So who are your favorite families, Melissa?
Well, so I'm going over this list that our fantastic writing and research team has compiled for us, and there are a lot. Sims 3 alone has just a varied grouping of different types of people. I did want to give a shout out to Claire Ursine. She lives alone in Pleasantville, and she was actually like the first sim that I was able to play through a couple generations. I'm bad at legacy challenges. I have a very low attention span.
Same.
But I took Claire and her baby daddy one of the Frio brothers, Jared. Jared is the baby daddy of Claire's soon to be child. And I mean, she needed a makeover when I got to her, and she got a makeover. I have a thing about redheads. I think they're lovely. I want to be one. But I'm reading this list that we have, and I'm realizing now that Frio, which is Connor and Jared's last name, is a play on Caliente, like the Caliente sisters from Don Lothario, because for you Spanish or Portuguese speakers, Caliente, hot, Frio, cold. And that today I learned that blew my mind. Same deal with the altos. I didn't know, I never played that team. I never played that family, so I didn't realize that it's a mafia joke. It's a Sopranos joke.
Oh, right.
Like the alto, the Sopranos.
Wait a
I
minute.
had no idea. I know.
Really?
I know.
That just blew my mind. Wow. All right.
I love
The
that.
more you know.
Yeah. I mean, and that's for 3. Those are the ones that hold a place in my heart. Anyone for you guys?
For me, I remember, I think the last time I really seriously played The Sims 3, I played the Andrews family. And I remember, I think I had Bo and Victoria end up getting divorced. And Bo went off and like made a whole family of his own. And he was like so much happier. And it was just crazy because I went for like 7 generations and then I got a stupid error code and I couldn't save my game anymore. So that was the end of that. But it was fun while it lasted, you know?
I'm really fascinated with the Goths and the Pancakes because they seem to be like the two families that like Simbler and the other like fan communities really gravitate to from Sims 4.
Yeah, same.
I just think
well, let me say, Roxy, we are going to absolutely have a full episode detailing the Goths, their background, what eventually happens to them. And I think the games in general do this great job of, you know, playing with chronology and, you know, we'll talk about this, I'm sure, in an upcoming episode, but 3, is it 3 that's the very start of the timeline, and then it goes like
I think
1, 2, 4? It's something like that.
I thought 4 didn't have a place in the chronology. I think 4, isn't it on its own timeline, or am I wrong? Because I could have sworn
be
that's
very
how
true.
that is.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That could be true.
That's what I heard. It's like a spin-off of the, I don't know, not a spin-off, you know what I mean? But in terms of like the timeline, it's a spin-off.
Yeah. Alternate universe.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
Let's see. There's also Brant and Brent, which I hate their names because I'm always getting them confused.
Me too. I played them for a while. They are adorable.
Yes, I love them.
I got them immediately another French bulldog to go with Rosie, and I named it. Oh God, what did I name it? I lost that save file because I switched computers.
And
Frankie and Rosie.
Yeah,
and I love them, and they're beautiful.
The first LGBT couple. They're obviously a pair of homosexual men, and I think that's really cool that they're upping the diversity in that respect.
Yeah, I think in 4, I mean, just scrolling down our very long list, it jumps out of me that the last names are much more varied. I mean, you've got Villarreal, Vitor, Feng, Jang, Rasoya. Just names that are not typical white people last names,
right.
Which I think in Sims 1 they just kind of made up a last name and didn't really consider that. But now that it's now very clear to me that they're taking that into consideration.
They really are, and I think part of it, you know, has to do with there's been a rise in like content creation among Sims fans, and like there's some really well-known YouTubers, and they all come from different backgrounds. And some of them are, you know, people of color and some are gay, stuff like that, you know, and I think the Sims team as a result has started to pay more attention to, you know, different, I guess, player bases, you could say, which I like because it's about time.
Yeah, I think it's a great move. I wonder, I always see Darling Walsh around town and the way they dressed her, I wonder if she could be potentially a trans character or if she's just kind of like a Tom.
I'm sorry, which one is she?
Darling Walsh.
Darling.
She's the one who looks like she's dressed for basketball. And she lives in the Karaoke Legends. The only note I have here about her is like Miko, Darling, and Akira. And Miko has a crush on Akira, apparently. But I wonder if it's more of a love triangle.
She's part of City Living.
Yeah.
So all I see, I'm looking at the Sims wiki right now. All I see here is it says some fans speculate that Darling may be non-binary.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's up to individual interpretation because, like, the game doesn't
Exactly.
explicitly state
I
it.
love that.
But they did add that feature into the create a sim, where you can change the sort of what do you call it? Like the orientation and like the gender of your character. So like,
Not really orientation
Right.
so much, but you can change who gets pregnant versus who
yeah,
does impregnating, which is pretty cool. Because, like, I'll have Sim. I was doing a Let's Play on my YouTube channel a while back that I'm still doing. I had a
Plug
lesbian
it, girl.
couple.
Plug it.
I had a lesbian couple, and I wanted them to have a kid through IVF and have that be part of a storyline. So I ended up using the Create a Sim features to make that happen, which is pretty cool because you couldn't have done that in past games.
yeah, that's really cool. And like, it just opens up more creativity. There's a YouTuber named English Simmer, and she's currently running a Let's Play called Belong There, and it's all focused on characters that are non-binary. Like, so there's a trans woman, and there's a gay girl and a gay boy, and then there's some like asexual characters and other things that she's trying to just be really representative. And I think that's really cool, especially for
Well, I'm gonna have to go watch that.
exactly like for other kids,
amazing.
like especially kids to see, because you never know what influences kids are going to have, and to have like a positive one out there, it's invaluable.
Yeah, 100%. Especially because, like, so many Sims YouTubers are family friendly. Like, I definitely don't fall into that category, but a lot of people do. And the people that have these huge audiences have started to come up with these diverse characters, and it's just nice to see, because it used to be, I think, back when I was just starting to get into the Sims community, it kind of felt like it was all white people, and now it feels like there's a whole bunch more diversity, and it's just really nice. Because that wasn't really a thing in the past, I don't think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
They've even talked about trying to implement some disabilities, like physical disabilities, and maybe
I saw that. And I'm physically disabled, so I'm really excited for, like, if they do that. I just hope, they consult with people who actually are disabled, because last thing I want is for them to implement that and then have it be completely just not ring true to my experience. Of course, it's not going to be dead on, but, it's got to be close.
So what are some of the things that you would like to see in gameplay or implemented in gameplay as a disabled person?
That's a good question. My big thing I want to see is, in terms of visible disabilities, I want to see, like, mobility devices. So things like wheelchairs or walkers or canes or all three. And then also, like, I want Sims who have a disability to have, like, different energy levels. Like, they should be able, you can maybe choose this. They can get tired more quickly or more slowly, depending. And then you can kind of tweak it the way you want it. That's just an idea, but
yeah,
hopefully they would implement something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
That's really
my understanding is there are some mods that obviously, there's a bajillion mods, and you can play with those and include it, but I think it's very important for the game itself to sort of have that recognition of this group of people, and they should be recognized. And to me, as someone who is not disabled, I think that would make gameplay so much more interesting and colorful and realistic.
It really does. I mean, and I have had, there's custom traits for certain, like, not physical disabilities, but just different kinds of disabilities. Like, I had one a while back, and I took it out because it stopped working. I had one a while back for just to put Sims on the autism spectrum, which was really cool, especially for, like, younger Sims. You could keep it on them for their whole life and see how they, grew and everything. And it was really nice. And I just love seeing that kind of diversity, even if it's, like, unofficial. It's nice that people think about disabled people when they make their custom content,
Yeah. I think that's
so often
great.
we get left out of conversations, especially in games. And, in The Sims, this is, like, the one world where if you want to include some sort of disability, it's actually fairly easy to do it. Even if you just say, oh, this Sim has this. You can say it and still play it that way if you work at it.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who's had, not equating people who are disabled to mental illness, but I've struggled with mental illness, and I think like a depression mod would be so rad. Just to, when you said energy levels, that's what made me think of it. And to have, you know, different needs being fulfilled. You know, you need more
100%.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. There is actually a handful of custom traits for mental illnesses, like for my storyline. And again, I'm going to be plugging my YouTube storyline here, but
Yes.
one of my characters in that storyline is anorexic, and she's a recovering anorexic, but I couldn't find a working anorexia trait, so I made one. So it's things like that, you know, I can sit down and make a trait that I need, you know. It's really cool. And I couldn't have, I don't think, done that in The Sims 3. You know, I wouldn't have known how to do that. But now that I'm older and there's more tools out there, I'm like, oh, I can make what I need. This is really cool. But
I'm doing this thing. I'm doing this thing right now where I'm staring at a wall as if it's like the camera in The Office, because I have no concept of these tools that you're talking about. So can you please we have to do a full episode on just making your own stuff. That
100%.
I mean,
so I'm
blown away right now. I'm saying.
I'm still a little fuzzy on how, you know, making traits works, because so far I've only managed to do one extremely basic one, and I would like to add more, you know, disabilities and mental illnesses and things. But going back to your comment about wishing there was like a depression mod, there is actually a depression trait. I'm not sure if it still works, but I can find it when we're done recording. I'll find it for you and
I've heard
if it works. But
I've heard of one for generalized anxiety disorder, because for me, like, I give gloomy to a lot of my Sims because I'm depressed. So I'm like, well, you know, they can be depressed too, but you know, it's not exactly the same. And then there was that whole thing where they took the insane trait and renamed it erratic. And I struggled with that at first because I personally have never been told that I'm insane and like then totally written off that way. But I realized in talking to other Sims players, like there are people that hear the word insane and they have like, you know, bad reaction to that because they've been called insane and then dismissed because of it. So I'm kind of glad they did that, because it's like responding to the community. And even if it's not everyone in the community, it's like trying to make things better for people who are hurt by something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think that's a sign too of how far the games have come, that they're able to like recognize what language, you know, might be hurtful and then go and change it, you know, versus in the past, I don't know what the past traits were for that kind of thing, but I think it used to just be insane all the time, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I remember it being insane, and truly it being changed to erratic was not even on my radar, so that's super interesting.
I didn't even notice until somebody else pointed it out, and then I was like, oh, that's different. Okay. You know, I mean, it didn't really affect me so much because I do have mental illnesses. I struggle with depression and anxiety, but not to the degree where people are calling me names because of it, you know, generally speaking. And so when I saw that, initially I saw the insane trait, I was like, oh, you know, I guess that's, you know, it didn't really register. I was kind of just like, oh, it's a word. But then once they changed it, I was like, wow, that's really different. That's so nice that they changed it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the trait
that they're accounting for everybody's experiences.
Yeah,
only
in hindsight, sometimes you realize how hurtful things actually were. And then you're like, oh, that was a problem.
Yeah.
That needed to be addressed. Oops.
You guys, we're having like chicken soup for the Sims soul. This is really great. I'm not downplaying it either. I'm like, this is really nice.
No, I like it.
This is lovely. I was so nervous about starting this. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to know what to say, but I have so much to talk about all of a sudden, because I never get to talk about Sims in real life because my family thinks I'm crazy because all I do is, you know, play Sims all day if I'm not doing something else. And
listen, man, you're among friends.
They don't understand what it is. They're like, what is this? You're literally directing people on a computer. Where's the fun in this? And it's like, it's an escape from the real world. That's what the fun is.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about real life or real problems for a while. You can go focus on people that you've made up. And, you know,
it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
I think for me, and I don't mean to be hogging the floor here, but I think for me, you know, when I have really bad days, one of the ways that I will cope is I will go and open The Sims and I will make Sims that are playing out the same scenarios as I am, whether it be a breakup or a particularly bad anxiety day or just anything really. And that kind of helps me process my emotions in a way that nothing else really can. So in a way, I use it as therapy, and I think a lot of people do.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is.
No, it really is.
Um, yeah, all that said, the only completed challenge I've ever done was in The Sims 3, and it was the Asylum challenge.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that, and then I was like, if I do that, I'm gonna offend somebody, so I better not. Like, I just figured maybe it's a little bit overly stigmatizing to like do publicly. You know, I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to stream it, and then I was like, I'll find something else to stream that's not potentially like hurtful or, you know,
It's
adds to
definitely
stigma or
tricky.
whatever. A little, you know, I mean, I wouldn't care if I saw someone else doing it, but everybody's different. So, you know, I could get that one viewer that has a negative reaction to it, and I don't want to, you know, be that person for anybody. So,
Yeah.
I've seen people do
I was
it
trying
and
to
they have to
think
kind of
about that.
explain we're not stigmatizing, we're, playing on the historical context of what was done and spreading awareness. But, your first reaction can sometimes be negative when you hear the concept.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And if I were ever to do that, I would absolutely set it in a past setting so that it kind of makes more sense. If it was modern day, it would be a little more like you're just doing this for the heck of it.
I'm going to be a super nerd right now and confess that it wasn't just the Asylum challenge. It was a bunch of X-Men characters, and I was pretending that they were trapped in like some sort of evil plot, and
Yes.
like
That's awesome.
Charles Xavier had to complete his aspiration to save them and release them from the trap. So, yeah.
That's
Listen,
awesome.
when we get into what we're currently playing, the nerd is going to be strong with me over here.
Go for it.
Yeah, same.
Do we want to talk about, kind of what we play right now? I think we've covered,
Yeah, I think so.
the games pretty well.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
again, we're going to have all these future episodes where we take really deep, deep dives into specific topics. Maybe another episode on, visibility and mental illness and all of that in mods. I'm looking forward to doing a deeper dive into some of the expansion packs in general. And, we've got a lot of content to work with. So please stay tuned. But as for me right now, I'm playing Sims 4 pretty exclusively. I have 3, but I lost my expansion packs tragically in a move. I had the discs and they got lost in the shuffle. And
Oh
none
no.
of them were on Origin. And I have the base game. And so it's just like, I don't really feel like going back and being sad. But I think 4 is great. And right now, so I'm sure this will be touched upon in future episodes, but building is really hard for me. Like, I am bad at it. Really bad.
I can't build either because I have cerebral palsy and no spatial awareness. So building, it's like it's an exercise in how hard can I use my injured brain today. It's like it's a fun time.
Yeah.
So I just download houses off the gallery because I tried building. I built one house and that was on stream and it took me like an hour. So
it's not good. And at
fun.
least, not to be insensitive, but you have an excuse and I do not.
Exactly.
I'm just bad at building. I'm just really bad at it.
And I always say, well, I'm not just bad at building. I have a brain injury and I'm pretty sure that's why I'm bad at building.
You have an excuse. I'm just really bad. So my last sort of endeavor into trying to build something worthwhile is, you know what, why don't I just make something that's supposed to look a little funky anyway? So I dug into my love of Harry Potter, and I built the Burrow, which, in the books is said to be several stories high and look like it's being held together by magic. So I mean, I'm sure we can get together some pictures of the gameplay we're talking about around from each of us. But I used a lot of there's some wall options that look a little bit more worn down. There's like those cracks that you can put in the wall, and that's been really fun. And so I didn't really plan to play it, but I have all the older brothers, and for those of you not familiar with the books, there's a total of 7 children, which obviously can't be together in the same household at the same time. So we're going to cycle through some Weasley siblings and build another floor to accommodate them. So I'm excited to kind of like continue to play with it, make it look a little funky. It looks funky, but not in like an intentionally funky way. It just looks funky. So it's cool. It's an exercise that I will continue to practice with. But what I really love about it, and I, I'll take interior decorating over building any day.
Same.
I get a little carried away with the clutter, stuff, but this was sort of my opportunity to do so because indoors it's a very, you know, homey place. There's knickknacks and like, you know, crafts the kids made and, you know, piles of mail and everything. And I did it where it was like a stone floor, but with a lot of rugs to make it, you know, more homey and comfortable. And everything is centered around this fireplace. And I don't know, there's a lot of ways you can get a message across in interior decorating, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm kind of playing at the time. Yeah, and the Molly is pregnant with Ron right now, hopefully, if Ron comes out a boy. So I can hope.
You know how to influence this gender, right?
I do for Sims 3. Wasn't it like watermelons and apples?
Yeah.
What is it for 4?
In 4, it's like carrots and strawberries, I think.
And music.
Oh, geez, I got to get on that.
And then alternative music for boys and pop music for girls, I believe.
Okay. Well, she's got a strawberry bush already.
Don't eat strawberries.
So if that's for girls. That's for girls. Okay. Never mind. Okay. Carrots. Oh wait, is that a fallacy? A phallic joke?
Oh, maybe.
Carrots for boys?
Oh no. I don't have carrots. I'm like playing a gardener right now, and she has no carrots.
That's something I really want to get into, especially with the Weasley family. Like the new gardening stuff for 4 is so intense, and I have barely scratched the surface. So I'm really excited to have that be a vehicle.
Speaking of gardening, I hope I'm allowed to mention this, but if not, I guess you'll have to cut it out. But in basemental drugs, if you have that mod and like you want your sim to be a weed dealer, you can actually grow your own pot.
Nice.
Which is fun.
That's a popular one.
It's a good money maker, let me tell you. And then,
that's one of the mods I've been looking at. Yeah.
The other big moneymaker for gardening is dragon fruit.
In the base world, do you have
huge amounts of money?
Do you have outdoor retreat?
Yes.
Because I just discovered playing this character, she has to go to Granite Falls twice, and she's been once, and she found morel mushrooms, Morel, and they're actually. I mean, if you know about them in the real world, they're like prized, delicious mushrooms, and so they're really valuable.
Super bougie. Yeah. I'm into it. And there's like avocados in the
Salvadorada.
Thank you. Yes, I keep saying World Adventures, but that's the 3 version.
With that one, I keep wanting to call it El Salvador. I'm like, wait a minute, wrong place. But,
might have been close,
but
yeah,
not quite right. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, gardening is fun. But if you really want to make money from gardening, you want to look into dragon fruit, because I've had Sims pull in like thousands of dollars per harvest off of that stuff.
Yes, please.
So, wow. Awesome.
Is that something you're working on right now as a gardening sim? This is when you plug your YouTube show?
Yeah, right.
What are you playing?
Not currently, no, but in past households, I've had gardeners that have made basically entire like yards full of dragon fruit. But no, currently, just to get into that, I'm working on a household where there's 2 parents. It's a man and a woman, and then there are 2 kids, and one's a toddler and one's a child age sim. And the woman, she's she's an entertainer, and she's super successful, and then her husband's a businessman. And one of the kids, the kid who is of school age, is homeschooled, and that's another mod. And then the toddler goes to preschool, which is also another mod. And they have this cute little family and 2 dogs. And that's my current household. But then the one on camera with the lesbian couple and their daughter, spoiler alert, they had a kid, by the way. They have their kid and a dog, and that's kind of been on hold lately because I haven't felt like sitting down and recording, but I guess now that I've plugged it, I have an excuse to get back into it. But one of the women is a teacher, and then the other one works in like software development. She's in like the technology career. Whatever the one is where you work with computers. I don't remember the exact name, but yeah, those are my 2 main games. And then on top of that, I have the 100 baby challenge, but that's just a mess. That's not even like, it doesn't even have characters at this point. I'm just trying to make this woman have babies as quickly as possible. So that's
Roxy, I think you can relate to that. Don't you have a 100 baby challenge going on that you can share?
The other weekend, so I almost seem to start like a new challenge every weekend, and then if I like it, I'll go back to it. But like the other weekend, I started a Cassandra Goth challenge where she's the Black Widow and she's going for 100 babies.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's so crazy.
awesome.
Her first victim was her father, not because of any incestual reasons, but I just wanted to test out my sauna. So yeah,
That's the episode titled. Just testing out my sauna.
my daughter
There we go.
actually hates killing her Sims. She wants nothing to do with it, and she thinks I'm weird.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. See,
Bless
and I had to turn aging off, not so much because I hate sim death, but because, like I said, I want to cycle around to all of the townies and get to play them. And I felt like, back when I had aging on in past save files, it was like I would play one household and then I would try to go back to another and all of them
Yep.
would be dead.
Mhm.
So
They'd be dead.
that was an issue. And of course you can never find their urns if you're not there when they die. So I couldn't give them, a proper burial in my little graveyard or whatever.
My game started leaving them like in front of one of the doors, the exterior doors.
Oh, how kind and thoughtful.
To go look. To go urn hunting.
I did see that there was a mod. I can't remember. Maybe it was talking with our group of podcasters. That there's a mod either coming out or being worked on or available that lets you. It sort of repopulates your town in the background. So if you have aging on and people do pass away and move on, then it's not just like a ghost town or a literal ghost town or just no one living in the houses anymore. You have new sort of auto-generated families that move in, which I gotta get my hands on because, I want to, but I, of course, never play past like one generation of Sims because I'm bad at it.
I could be wrong, but I think that feature is actually part of MC Command Center, like in the population settings.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it like auto repopulates the world.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Point. Yeah, I could be way off because I don't do that anymore, but I remember seeing that.
I think you're right. If you want to go that route, MC Command Center, which is like one of the most popular mods for The Sims, has like a bunch of settings, and you can have the Sims and the NPCs have their own lives and have children and die and whatever. And I think, if you don't care about like a legacy style thing, in the game itself, you can just go in the options and click fill empty houses. And I'm pretty sure that would keep them from being empty. But I haven't tried it.
And also,
helpful.
And also, if you're like me and you miss the custom lifespans from Sims 3, MC Command Center also gives you an option to just customize the number of days in every life state, which I think is really handy.
Yeah, I did like that in The Sims 3. I think you still have, don't they still have like long, normal, short, whatever?
I used to play with that all the time.
So
I think they have it in 4.
This week was actually interesting because they did their first Maxis Monthly live stream, and we're getting a couple of new features in the next update. You guys remember what they are?
Yeah, one is terrain tools, and then the other was, I think there's a fashion career?
I think it's called
Style Influencer.
Style Influencer.
I don't know. I thought style, fashion, something, but yeah, that. I'm really excited for that, but I'm also not looking forward to it breaking all my mods, so I'm going to be one of those people who waits to update until everything is fixed.
Oh, yeah.
So is that...
How do you do that?
That alert that they put out, that message that they put out that's like, your mods are going to break, does that have to do with the new content that they're adding?
It does, yeah, because I guess they're changing, the whole structure of the game is how I understand it. I could be way wrong, but that's how I read it.
Yeah, like the backbone.
But for anybody concerned, there is an option in Origin to turn off automatic updating, and I turned that off a long time ago. I think it's in file settings, and then it's enable or disable automatic update, something like that. I don't know. I could be way wrong.
No, that sounds like really good info
that sounds familiar.
To share.
I've said I could be way wrong 600 times. I'm very unsure of myself today, but I'm like, do I know anything about The Sims at all? Or am I just making all this up?
No, you know a lot.
We are all going off of our own experiences.
Comforting.
Yeah. So yeah, there's something about the changing from an old version to Python to a new version, and they say it's going to happen in mid-November, but I'm always worried with developers and anybody who's on that side of things. It always seems to take longer than they expect to do anything like that. So we'll see.
Better later than sooner, And I'm glad that they said something about it.
Yeah, I thought that was good transparency
warned people
on their part to warn the mod makers that they could start working on it if they know the version of Python that's coming up. So that's awesome.
Right. Hopefully everything will be fixed very quickly.
Yeah.
I guess we've talked a lot about mods and CC, and if you are a creator of mods or CC, we want to hear from you because we're kind of interested in connecting with people who are like lesser known creators and want to get a little exposure and talk about the process and everything. So you can email us at undertheplumbbobpodcast@gmail.com or just reach out on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We've got a group, and no, we don't have a group. We have a page. Sorry, my other podcast has a group. And let's see what else we have. We have Snapchat. We're all getting that stuff up and running, but keep an eye out.
We do not have a Google Plus. We're very sorry for this massive blind side. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have
Big
maybe somebody already mentioned this, but I have the attention span of a squirrel. Do we have a Twitter page?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I need to go follow that.
Yeah, we have Twitter.
Yeah, you do. We all do.
We have our initial post up on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram.
I will go look for that. I was just curious because I was like, I know somebody mentioned something about a Twitter account, but I didn't know what had been set up and what hadn't, So.
I know. If we have our website set up, hopefully it'll be in the show notes. So that'll be a good place to find all our names because they're slightly different depending on the platform. Because Twitter especially is like not so happy with you having a long name.
No, they don't like that.
They have a character limit for everything. Melissa, do you have the list about what we're talking about in our upcoming episodes?
Yes, I do. So next couple of episodes, we're kind of going to start this rotating topic pattern where we talk one episode about building, one episode about gameplay, lore, challenges. We're going to kind of rotate the gamut through a lot of the stuff we covered today and just really hone in on certain aspects of every game. So next episode, we're going to talk about my first build, which for me, I'm sure will be very embarrassing because all of my builds are bad. Yep. But we will hear from some people who are a little bit better at building and, kind of that's their thing in The Sims. So tell us about your first build. Do you, have any fond memories of it? Do you remember it being, super difficult? I think and this is a little sneak preview, but I tried to make a castle in Sims 1 and it was just a big square room. So we'll get to that. We'll definitely touch on that. So email us at undertheplumbbobpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us all about it. Attach pictures if you have them. We'll put them up on our social media and we'll give you a shout out on the show. And then beyond next episode, we're going to talk about, some famous characters. You may know them as the Goths. They have kind of a cool twisted legacy that we'll go into across the 4 games. And we'll tell some stories about common ways to murder your Sims, which certain people have more affinity for than others, which is fine. We're very accepting here, and we're all friends. So send us anything you want. undertheplumbbobpodcast@gmail.com.
Sims related.
Yes.
Don't send us no gross pictures unless you want us to make them in The Sims. That could be fun. Ooh, random challenge.
The gears are turning.
We want to have like a huge amount of thanks for our writing and research team. They got all our notes together and really helped bring this episode together, and all the enthusiastic supporters we've had and just, trying to get this all planned and kind of like bringing together a whole bunch of people that actually wanted to do this silly idea that I had one day. And we all came together because of a group called the Simmerinos. And it's on a Facebook group for The Sims and fans of My Favorite Murder. And I just wanted to give a specific shout out to them because we wouldn't exist without that forum. So thank you, Jackie Elizabeth, and also Jacqueline Leviton, because they founded that group and have been very welcoming to all types of people in the community.
So until next time, we're heading back to the real world. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Badish. Dag dag.